They're often exploited because of addiction, mental health problems or learning difficulties. And now vulnerable people whose homes are taken over by drug dealers are increasingly being protected by civil rather than criminal laws, which are being used by a number of police forces and councils across the south. Our Home Affairs correspondent Nikki Mitchell reports.
Quick wander upstairs.
Go on then.
I'll wait here.
I just got to sit there in a minute.
The first call of the day for one of Swindon's neighbourhood teams. They're checking Pauline's house for unwanted visitors.
Because I used to drink a lot.
Pauline's home was being used by alcoholics and drug users rather than dealers.
People started to come here and then they brought other people and I didn't even know they was here because I was in hospital. And then the council lady, she said, do you want to close your order? I didn't have to and I said, yeah, because I can't handle them, keep coming here.
The police call what happened to Pauline cuckooing, her house having been invaded just as a cuckoo invades the nests of other birds for its chicks. The usual culprits are drug dealers, as was the case at this flat in Dorset. The gang found here were suspected of running drugs across county lines. Back in Swindon, Paul and Nick check on a flat where drugs and a weapon were found.
The resident is quite vulnerable, so people will visit his address. He will let them in thinking that they're friends. They will then take advantage of his location, the fact that he's close to the city centre, and they'll use it as a base in which to deal drugs from. So the closure order's on to stop people going in that shouldn't be there. We go to his pretty much every day.
Partial closure orders mean the named residents can stay living there and get help, rather than being put out onto the street.
The best approach is not to make somebody homeless. Primarily we're using it to protect them and give them an opportunity to have a look at the way they're living and things, and hopefully make changes themselves with a little bit of support from partner agencies as well.
In Reading, here in the south of the town, a partial closure order was put on a flat only last week.
Drugs has been a real problem. It's been a growing problem in this community, unfortunately, for a while. But I think the good thing is that lockdowns actually help people who are living nearby it to see that it's there. So we've had lots of closure orders in the last couple of weeks in Whitley, but I think the community are really happy about that.
Relief for residents in Woodley too, and in Wokingham. In Surrey, the police want neighbours to watch out for each other. They found one vulnerable resident had been forced to sleep in a dog's bed in their own kitchen by drug dealers.
They're quite horrific, but we're not naive to think you shut one, another one doesn't open up. And again, that's where we've been trying to do a lot of work to educate the public to understand what they're kind of seeing, so that if their neighbour is all of a sudden having lots of guests that you don't recognise, you don't see them at all, give us a ring, and if we find it, then we deal with it.
A closure order can now be put in place within hours. Witnesses give evidence to the police, avoiding the stress of having to go to court themselves.
Any problems, just give us a call, all right?
They're good for me really, because if somebody comes, they get rid of them, wouldn't it? That's, you know, good idea, isn't it?
Properties can be and are shut permanently if problems persist. Nikki Mitchell, BBC South Today.